What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. I am, of course, Wayne. This is Reeferman Reviews, and today we're going to be continuing the series where we look at the actual origins of Cobb Vanth from the Star Wars Aftermath novel series written by Chuck Wendig. My first video on this was on book 1, of course, on his how he got the armor, how it differed from what we saw on the show. Book 2, the interlude with him, shows us the Beastmaster Malakili from the Return of the Jedi, that trained the Rancor in that movie. It shows him meeting with Cobb Vanth, and well, take a listen for yourself at this interlude, and stay tuned afterwards for my thoughts on how this all could still have happened from a certain point of view. Hope you enjoy. Click like, subscribe, share this with your Star Wars friends. Yeah. Star Wars Aftermath, Book 2, Life Debt. Interlude. Hardcover edition is on page 205. Takes place between chapters 18 and 19. Tatooine. It is a difficult thing being a creature without purpose. The purpose of the man, Malakili, was once to give purpose to such creatures. He was always good with beasts. As a child in a Nar Shaddaa slum, he taught vicious gugworms to stop stealing from the food stores, and over time they became his pets, his friends, his protectors. Later he would help tame and prepare a variety of beasts for the hut circuses, sand dragons and killwings and little womp rats in their little outfits. And then later his precious joy, the rancors, those the monsters none could tame but he. And now his last rancor, Patissa, is dead, crushed by a lucky fool in black. Worse, his employer is also gone, eradicated by that same lucky fool and his cruel friends. Malakili and the others were left in the palace after Jabba's sail barge erupted in belching fire, all of them unsure as to what exactly to do now. A new hut would come to occupy the days, they said, and so many stayed as the food dwindled and the water ran out. Soon, those left began drifting away, too, off into the sands and away across the dunes. No hut was coming. The galaxy was changing. Could it be that the huts were fighting? Some underworld war pitting slug against slug? Malakili was one of the last in the palace, and then one day he left too. He thought maybe to tame the glorious monstrosity at the bottom of the great pit of Carkoon, and failing that, to throw himself into its maw. But the mighty Sarlacc was injured. Burning wreckage from the sail barge had rained upon it. Already its body, considerably more massive than the mouth exposed from the sliding sands, had been partially unburied, its stomach tubes slit open, its digesting innards pillaged by industrious Jawas. They pulled out weapons and armor, droids and tools, and skeletons, of course. The creature of Carkoon had a pure purpose, to wait and to eat, and now it was left to thrash and wail in the grip of pillagers. Malakili wept at another life without purpose. He wandered, as many do. He felt like a scrap of cloth or a wad of trash blown across the desert, pushed this way and pulled that way, rolling without destination, without meaning. And now he thinks, I am going to die. The Red Key thugs found him wandering towards Mos Pelgo. They gave chase, but he is older and slower than he used to be. One hit him from behind, and now his face is pressed into the hot sand. A boot pushes on his neck, and the bones in his back grind. One of the Red Key raiders, men who claim to work for the new mining conglomerate, a conglomerate even naive Malakili knows to be just a front for a criminal syndicate, rips off his leather hood and presses a blaster into the back of his skull. They rip his satchel from his shoulder and empty it onto the sand. His water skin finds its way onto one of the thug's hands, who parts the leather from in front of his face and drinks what little is left. The rest of Malakili's belongings decorate the dirt. A lucky braid of bantha fur and teeth, a small water shiv made of dewback bone, a few droid gears and shiny chits to give to the Jawas and pay off the grunting Tuscans. A man who introduces himself as Bivum Gorge rasps in Malakili's ear. "What else you got, wanderer? These sands are Red Key sands, and Lorgan Mulvellin is taking his cut. Wouldn't want his cut to be your ears or your tongue, would you?" The second thug chuckles through a respirator. As if to demonstrate, the first thug stabs a gleaming hunting knife down into the ground. It hits the sand with a hiss. Above them, the shriek of a blaster bolt, and then the thug hits the sand too. He topples like a vaporator knocked flat by a stomping bantha. His head turns towards Malakili as smoke rises from a patch of burned hair and skin on the far side of his skull. The thug's mouth works soundlessly, then his eyes go dim. Suddenly the air erupts with blaster fire. The second thug gargles rage through his respirator, but even this is short-lived. He staggers backward, arm flailing, the rifle dropping out of his hand. That thug joins his friend. The sons will claim him. Malakili does not move. Whoever is coming is worse than these two, and so it seems better to play dead. That a trick he learned from many of the beasts he trained. Prey knows that the best costume from a predator is the already dead. Please let me be, please. But why? To what purpose? To be saved? To be spared? Is it a privilege that should belong to one with purpose? Footsteps approach, boots thumping on the sand. "You can get up." A voice, male, gruff, plain, clear. Another voice, a woman's. "Relax, we're not raiders." "We're law." "Law? On Tatooine? No such thing." The huts were the law, Jabba was law, but now, with Jabba dead, Malakili rolls over and sits up. There, a man in Mandalorian armor, the suit of it pocked and pitted and streaked with scars. Armor that looks eerily familiar, and Malakili's innards clench at the sight of it. A carbine hangs at the man's side. Next to him stands a tall woman. Head tails, which means she's Twi'lek, though one of those head tails is mangled, its end puckered with scar tissue. At her hips hang twin pistols. "I'm Issa Orr," she says, a sneer to her lips. The man removes his helmet. His cheeks are lined with salt and pepper stubble. He winces against the double suns. "I'm Cobb Vanth, lawman and de facto mayor of what used to be Mos Pelgo. Freetown now," the Twi'lek says. "A place where good people can come if they're willing to work, if they're willing to stand tall against the syndicates, against folks like Lorgan and Red Key." Malakili nods as if he understands, but he doesn't. Not yet. Cobb kneels down. "You look familiar to me." "I am no one." "Everybody's someone, my friend. Thing about Freetown is, to live inside our walls means to be useful. Are you useful?" And here Malakili's spirits sink. He is not useful to anyone. He admits as much, his dry eyes going suddenly wet with tears. "I have no value to you. Kill me. My creature Patisa is dead. All my beasts are gone." The Twi'lek says, "You're a beastmaster?" "Master. If only he deserves such a word, but he gives an uncertain nod. "I train beasts, yes." The two share a look. Vanth chuckles, a dry sound like rocks rolling together down the side of a cliff. "We got a couple unruly Rontos that could use a steady hand. Can you handle that? There'd be payment, and a homestead for you if you care to claim it." His sinking spirits are suddenly buoyant. Purpose dawns inside his heart, bringing light to darkness once more. "I can." "There's something else," Issa Orr says. "Should we tell him?" "Why not? If anybody can help." Cobb leans in close, and as he helps Malakili up, the man says in a low voice, as if the sand might be listening, "You know much about huts?" "I know quite a bit." "You think you could train one?" They are sentient beings, not pets." "Fine. teach one then. I could, I believe, but why? Issa grins. Because we have one at Freetown. A baby, Cobb says, scratching his jaw. Seems that Red Key was trying to sneak one in, install it into the palace. We interrupted that little plan, and now we got this slug, and not sure what to do with it. If you can help us with the Rontos, maybe the hut. You've got a place at Freetown. How's that sound, friend? It sounds like purpose. Most excellent. Thank you. You can thank me by doing your job. Let's go, Issa says. Leave the corpses for the others to find. Let them see that law, true law, is spreading across the land. End of the interlude. Alright, so as you heard there, this was kind of Cobb Vanth and his partner, a Twi'lek woman named Issa I probably can't pronounce the name right. Yeah, I enjoyed that interlude. But book one's interlude was better in my opinion. I still think a lot of this happened maybe before, obviously, because he gives the armor up back in the show. It's interesting to see what happens with Malakili after Return of the Jedi. He was a very small role in that movie, but I liked the design. I liked him, and when the Rancor died after Luke killed him in Jabba's palace, and he cried, and he was, all upset and everything. Like, that was very well done. I loved it. One of my favorite parts from that movie, which is one of my favorite Star Wars movies. Dare say I think I like Return of the Jedi better than Empire Strikes Back. I think they actually, for me, go Return of the Jedi, Empire, then the original, and then all the rest. That's just me. So yeah, I'm trying to think of how this, I know it does go against a lot of what happened, or what he says happened to the Mandalorian in the Marshall episode, in the season premiere, when he's telling the flashback of how he got the armor or whatever. Some of that, I think he was just telling the bounty hunter, the Mandalorian, enough of the truth from a certain point of view. I think some of what we read in this book is also a different point of view, but I think it all still sort of happens somewhere in the middle. I'm interested to see if those other characters within this interlude from Life Debt will make an appearance on the show ever, like in the background, or you know what I mean. If whatever happened with the hut situation, I guess we'll have to wait and see for video 3, where I come back and do Empire's End, which is book 3, the finale. It's his final appearance in the books. Let me know what you think in the comments. I enjoy these books. I highly recommend you read them if you haven't already, or get them on the Audible or whatever. Go to the library online, I guess you can do that, and listen to books. Whatever you do, man, do it. This is Reeferman Reviews. I will see you all soon.